Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown featuring Papa Palpatine, of course, in charge of his favourite warriors of chaos, up against Croissant Albert and the Dark Elf forces. And it looks like we have a showdown of the wizards here, which should be some pretty good fun. So let's hop in here and have a little look at these builds. So I believe this was from the latest Snotling League game, so it is going to be competitive builds all round. And in the front lines we have Chaos Marauders, but not the cheap and cheerful kind. These guys are battle-hardened veterans by the looks of it, as they are silver shielded, certainly going to allow them to chew through the enemy bleak swords and dread spears with deadly efficiency and go toe-to-toe with some more mid-tier troops. Nice to see this kind of chevron play instead of kind of just going for very expensive infantry. We have Chaos Warhounds with poison in the centre pocket here to drive back enemy skirmishers. We have Chaos Marauders with great weapons, also silver chevron. Very interesting choices so far. And in the back lines, it looks like we do have double Marauder Horsemen on this right flank. Going to be getting protected here by the Chaos Knights with lances, and these guys have some insanely badass models. Certainly loving all the skulls and flaming steeds. Very crazy stuff. And these guys have a huge, lovely, thick charge bonus. On the other flank, we do have a double Marauder Horseman once more, but this time protected by the Summoners of Rage. Regiment of Renowned Dragon Ogres, going to be packing the Thunder and that lovely anti-large. So pretty solid build, hiding behind this tiny house, which has a fireball coming towards it. We do indeed have a Hell Cannon, can do great work up against elite troops, and can also focus down skirmishers and flying targets rather well, as its shots do track. We have a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death as well, simply coming in with Spiritual Leech as well as Soul Blight on top of a Manticore here. Now for the opponent here and the Dark Elf forces, we do have triple Scourge Runner Chariots dotted all the way along. Great anti-large. These guys have been talk of much debate on how powerful they are overall. So I just want to track that fireball, because I think the lovely placement of the Chaos here is actually going to allow it to be protected by the glorious Peasant House there, which I'm sure this Supreme Sorceress isn't going to love. So apart from the triple Scourge Runner Chariots, we have a Supreme Sorceress here coming in with Burning Head and Fireball. We have a lovely Skirmish core of Dark Riders Repeater Crossbows, protected by Slaanesh Harvesters, Doom Fire Warlock Regiment of Renowned, which is pretty awesome stuff. Now for the main battle line, these guys have certainly gone a little bit more elite. We have Dread Spears protecting the flank and the rear, but in that centre pocket, we have Black Ark Corsairs as well as double Harganeth Executioners, the centre one of which is Blades of the Blood Queen, Regiment of Renowned Bad-Ass Warriors, who will tear through that front line like butter. We also have a Death Hag rolling with them as well. And that Dark Elf Infantry Corps is particularly scary because despite the silver chevrons on these Chaos Marauders, those Harganeth Executioners will chew through those Marauders very, very quickly. So it looks like an Overcast Spirit Leech has been popped here by the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death onto the Supreme Sorceress, but it was Overcast and Miscast, so I'm not sure how good the trade's going to be overall, as both do take a bit of damage there. Another Fireball comes in, but once again hits the house. Nice little dodgement and movement here, coming in by the forces of chaos, repositioning the Hell Cannon every time the fireball does come in, and because the fireball tracks, it's following around and hitting into the house. Looks like the Hell Cannon is in fact going to return fire, smacking the Supreme Sorceress up in the skies, doing some pretty decent damage, and it looks like the Chaos Warhounds with poison have pounced here. Now, of course, these guys do have poison, so they should be able to slow down the Scourge Runner Chariots and perhaps allow some of these other units to catch up and deal some damage. But it looks like the Chaos Knights have other priorities, pushing away another unit of Scourge Runner Chariots. A third fireball comes in, and this time it is whipped around the house, kind of a wanted style there, and doing some decent damage to the Hell Cannon. But it's still going to take two, possibly even three more fireballs, I'd say two, to take down that Hell Cannon and finish it off. So a lot of Winds of Magic has been popped here already by both forces. So it looks like another miscasted Spirit Leech does go in and hit the Supreme Sorceress of Fire. So a relatively even trade so far, I suppose, although the Scourge Runner Chats have taken a decent amount of damage. As long as they can keep all their models, they'll still have the same damage output, so they won't be too fussed. Chaos Warhounds with poison have now been forced back and are actually going to path in front of the Scourge Runner Chariots, who are now going to be charging in and driving back the Marauder Horsemen here. Up in the sky, Supreme Sorceress of Fire is floating around, down to about half health here. Apologies for the sirens going past my window. Unfortunately, I do live near both a fire station and a police station and a hospital. But another fireball is going to be going in, once again aimed at the Hell Cannon, which is attempting to dodge here and make Piccolo proud. But damn, it is indeed going to get hit here, and this burned down Ruins house has kind of used up its usefulness so far. Over here in the front line, Squadron Chariots are being pretty heavily pushed back by Marauder Horsemen, only really the loss of the Warhound so far. And the Spirit Leech does go down on the Chariots as another unit has been pushed off, so it looks like Chaos is getting the upper hands at the moment in the early skirmish phase, but they certainly need to. They've put a lot of money into their skirmish corps, and their infantry certainly isn't going to cut it today. So another Hell Cannon shot does come into the Dark Riders, doing some pretty okay damage and forcing back the Marauder Horsemen. However, have had to, fall back to friendly territory here. Chaos Warhounds of Poison are once again back alive and active. Hell Cannon is up to 2,400 health, or down to I should say, but up to 13 kills and doing some okay damage as well to that Supreme Sorceress of Fire. Another fireball is coming in, and this time it wallops the Hell Cannon, but once again it stands strong. So really interesting start to this battle. Both forces completely trying to rely on skirmish at the moment and get that value, with the Dark Elves refusing to advance until that Hell Cannon has been destroyed, which I do not blame them. Those Hargnef Executioners would of course be targeted, and that's so much good value from the Hell Cannon out of the gates. Looks like it is now trying to focus down the Supreme Sorceress of Fire once more. Opal Amulet was indeed popped to keep her alive and active, as another fireball comes in. And it looks like it is going after the Hell Cannon, which once again attempts to dodge, but unfortunately for the forces of Chaos, that fireball gets pretty damn accurate there. And down goes the Hell Cannon, which is going to force the forces of Chaos forward. But at this point, both forces will most likely start to engage, realising that artillery is out of the picture. Now, one big bonus here for the forces of Chaos so far is that the Scourge Runner Chariots have taken quite a lot of damage and used up huge amounts of ammunition, focused down Marauder Horsemen and the like, which is going to leave these Summoners of Rage to pretty much roam freely as long as they can avoid these Dark Riders. They'll certainly be able to pop in here and give a good old walloping to the Executioners and the rest of the enemy front line. Looks like Dark Riders getting a little overzealous in the front line here, doing a lovely little charge and flinging down some Chaos Marauders before falling back and once again trying to get to relative safety. They didn't really do much damage at all there on the charge. And it looks like a fireball now is coming after that Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and missing here as he does duck and weave on top of that mighty Manticore, which would be pretty scary stuff, clinging to a Manticore as big balls of fire are launched at you. So the forces of the Chaos now finally starting to pressure. Chaos Knights bouncing around as well, trying to deter Scourge Runner Chariots from doing that nasty cycle charge in the front line, which they are very good at. Another miscast. It looks like Spirit Leech going off, as that Chaos Lord has taken huge amounts of damage from pretty much just itself. I think it may have taken one fireball earlier and has taken, one or two bolts perhaps from Scourge Runner Chariots, but the majority of the damage has been from unfortunate miscasts here. Chaos Knights desperately trying to catch the Doomfire Warlocks here, or slash Harvesters, but a little bit too slow, and the Dark Riders are simply going to skirmish them down, pull them apart with those armor-piercing crossbows. But the moment we've all been waiting for, the front line is about to engage here. Hargnef Execution is certainly going to do well. The Blades of the Blood Queen are going to come up against these Summoners of Rage here, an engagement they really do not fancy as they get absolutely clobbered and forced to the ground. However, they will still be able to tear through Chaos Marauders, and they are pretty tanky themselves, and are very elite and high leadership, so they should be able to stand for a while, as Dread Spears do saturate in as well. A glorious Burning Head coming down from the Supreme Sorceress, catching 3 units, in fact going through as well onto the Marauder Horsemen, doing absolutely massive damage to these guys who have been driven back here and forced off. Another fireball is a swing and a miss, and it looks like the Supreme Sorceress is incredibly low health-wise, 240 health left, just taking one too many Spirit Leeches, and the next one that's up is certainly going to finish her off here. But that glorious Burning Head has allowed the Hargnef Executioners to push through the front lines, taking pretty much 0 damage and getting 80 kills as well in the bat. It looks like despite the impact of the Summoners of Rage, who did fantastic damage to the Hargnef Executioners over here, the rest of the Chaos Warriors not quite up to the task here, being dragged down by the much more elite units. And the Wizard duel up in the skies does continue. Supreme Sorceress on the slightly faster Pegasus here is actually going to be charging headlong into axes and javelins of the Marauder Horsemen, but in combat, despite only having 151 health, should be able to force off the Horsemen with a little bit of decent RNG. Dark Riders are engaged currently with Marauder Horsemen, not where they want to be. They're clearly outnumbered and want to be falling back. So nice play by Papa Palpatine, moving these guys into close combat. However, some more Dark Riders have appeared in the field and are going to be pushing forward as well, perhaps turning the engagement there with a really lovely charge, breaking both units. So a great counterpunch coming in by the Dark Elves here. But skirmishing is happening all across the board. You can see the battle is incredibly spread out at this point. The Supreme Sorceress of Fire is running for the hills, and we have Dark Elves just chasing away Chaos Forces where possible, and yeah, not too bad at all. Chaos Knights are reaving through the back lines, as well as Marauder Horsemen hunting down renegade troops and troops kind of returning to the field. We are going to have some Black Ark Corsairs who should be able to clean up the Chaos Marauders with great weapons, despite their silver chevron, simply due to the massive kind of numbers advantage. I would assume these guys are going to fall here. Now, the main punch, I suppose, left in this Dark Elf build is in its Blades of the Blood Queen and Harganeth Executioners, who are going to have to protect the Death Hag with their lives. With the Supreme Sorcerers leaving the field, leadership is going to be a big problem, and of course, Summons of Rage are pretty terrifying creatures. They, of course, do cause that nasty fear, and yeah, it's going to be scary stuff. Does the Manticore cause terror on a mount? It does indeed, so we could expect a terror out into the late game. Dark Riders are going to be running away desperately from these Summoners of Rage, which is obviously a good idea, although it actually looks like they do get caught up a little bit before falling back. And you can see just in the couple of seconds they get caught, they lose quite a few models. It looks like they might actually flee from the field here. So we have a lot of Dark Elf units kind of out on the periphery who have been chasing down troops who really need to return as quickly as possible. Those Spearmen are going to be absolutely massive against the Summoners of Rage with consistent anti-large damage. And down here, it looks like the Chaos Knights are trying to get in some cycle charging on the Harganeth Executioners, who are cleaning up the last of the Hell Cannon crew. There's a little dwarf in here somewhere. There he is, and the Dark Elves don't care if you're a dwarf or a Chaos Dwarf. They're going to munch you up as much as possible. Death Hag does in fact drive back the Summoners of Rage here with a mighty scream and roar, as well as the Blades of the Blood Queen. But it looks like we are going to be getting a very nasty banishment of some description coming down, and it is in fact the Summoners of Rage Chain Lightning doing some really decent damage here to the Harganeth Executioners, which is pretty key because there's not too much left on the field to take down these elite troops, despite the except the Summoners of Rage. Looks like an assassination attempt is coming in on the Death Hag here. The Blades of the Blood Queen are going to be rallying to their new leader, and they've got decent AP stats all round. And now the Summoners of Rage don't have the protection of the Marauders to kind of take some damage for them. They're actually going to be taking a bit of a pounding here, as the 50 remaining Blades of the Blood Queen are going to do some serious damage. But a lovely rear charge coming in by the Chaos Knights is going to hammer down this formation and perhaps start to break leadership. We do have more Harganeth Executioners trying to rally in as well, but the Chaos Knights bouncing between combats, flinging at these elite Dark Elf troops left, right and centre. But every time they charge in, they do get pinned down a little bit as those horses get a little bit more tired and struggle to escape here. Very close game all round. We've got Dread Spears still making their way back to the main event, but it looks like 15 Dark Riders have managed to rally, and this is actually huge. The extra damage and morale debuffs from the arrows coming in may help these Harganeth Executioners hold the line and push back the Summoners of Rage, although it looks like the Black Ark Corsairs are running for the hills, as well as the Death Hag as well. So perhaps it's all over here for the forces of the Dark Elves. Things are certainly looking very bleak. Balance of power quite heavily against them here. The Harganeth Executioners still stand strong, and the Summoners of Rage are losing models really rapidly now as that HP has depleted. It looks like these guys may be forced off. No, they do indeed rally here, as the Chaos Knights do a rather slow and ponderous charge in. Obviously quite knackered at this point. Blades of the Blood Queen have finally been put in their place. So we simply have the one unit of Harganeth still holding the line, as the Death Hag does rally in the distance, and the Dread Spears continue their long march to action. Now, perhaps if they were here slightly earlier, it would have turned the tide more in the favour of the Dark Elves, but they're certainly not out of it yet, as we have the Dark Riders return once more and launching some shots into the Summoners of Rage. Should be able to force them from the field. Those guys are routing, and the Harganeth Executioners will be able to chew through them with all the horsemen, despite the fact that they are wavering. A real solid backbone, and all of a sudden the battle has kind of turned very drastically in favour of the Dark Elves here. Chaos Sorcerer has been going down to consistent fire here from those crossbowmen, sorry, And it looks like the Chaos actually lose that one. Pretty crazy stuff. They looked in a very dominant position at the end there, but it just goes to show you monstrous infantry, or kind of monstrous units in general, monstrous cavalry and all those kind of troops, like the Summoners of Rage, are very powerful, but they are far more powerful when stacked with meat shields, which is what the Marauders were for them in the early engagement. You saw them take basically no damage and punish those Hargoneth executioners, but as soon as they're isolated on their own and all those targets, all those attacks are going directly into them when they're completely surrounded by elite troops, they will get dragged down. But very well played to both Papa Palpatine and Croissant Albert. Really interesting game. A very long skirmish phase at the start. Kind of hard to tell who was getting the upper hand. Chaos did a huge amount of work early on, pulling down Scourge Runner chariots and doing massive damage to the enemy Lord, but took some damage themselves to the Lord and eventually lost the Hell Cannon, which was their #1 answer to the Hargoneth executioners. So perhaps they took the losses, the Dark Elves, early on, but it was necessary losses to then allow the executioners to carry the day. 149 kills and 64 kills is very impressive, and they really broke the backbone of their enemy. Super fun game. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. We try to do between 5 to 7 videos a week, some of them often being streams. Now, if you want to get your replays up on the channel, featuring tournaments and all that good stuff, feel free to join my Discord. There is a link in the description down below, as well as other links on how you can support the channel. Anyway guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.